Hello everyone and welcome back. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about AA and NA and specifically how spirituality decreases addictions. And this is an article in Psychology Today. I'll put a link to the article in the description for this video. And it says connecting with a higher power works in prevention, treatment, and recovery. And I just want to emphasize this. When they're talking about a higher power, we're not talking about a sort of religious connotation, although if that's what motivates somebody to go to a meeting, then, great, fantastic. I think the point of this article is not necessarily to focus on religion. It's more to talk about, the belief that there's a power up there. My goodness, sorry for that. There's a power up there or out there that is greater than us, right? That's greater than us that we can tap into. And I think that's what the point is of this article. For years, Alcoholics Anonymous and related organizations have emphasized that members should seek help from their higher power. However, they conceptualize that entity, right? This is what I was just talking about. The investigators synthesized data from 55 rigorous longitudinal studies, including 540,712 participants. These studies follow participants from 6 months to 20 years. So this is a significant study. While no one knows exactly how spirituality is so effective, possible mechanisms include social support embedded with religious communities, strong social norms favoring abstinence or moderation, internalized ethical systems that discourage intoxication, the power of prayer, and helping others, which provide meaning and purpose, that lower reliance on substances for mood regulation. Emerging neuroscientific research suggests meditation, prayer, and other contemplative practices may influence neural circuits involved in stress regulation, reward processing, and interpersonal bonding, though this remains a field for further investigation. So here it is. I'm not going to go through the whole article for you, but I wanted to point this out. And the reason I did is because of a couple of things. Number one, my wife and I have been incredibly blessed, for the last 10 years to work in this space, with behavioral health. And we've made so many great friends. Just amazing. But I will tell you, as is pretty well known, a lot of the people that work in the recovery community are themselves in recovery. And I will tell you, our close friends that have been in recovery for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, even longer, the one thing they have in common is they consistently work on their recovery. And a big part of that is going to meetings. Just recently, my wife and I sort of fulfilled one of our dreams, which was to take a cruise across the Atlantic. And we saved for a whole year to pay for this thing, but it was amazing, right? We went from the south of England all the way across to New York, 7 days on the ocean. It was in the winter and it was a little rough, but that's another story. The point I'm trying to make is, on that ship, there was a meeting, and there was a meeting every single day. And so, listen, it doesn't matter where you are, whether you're on a ship, abroad, whatever. There's always a place to find a meeting. And I think that is just absolutely, it's amazing. It really is. It's just amazing. And so, I'll put a link to this article in the description for the video. But one last thing. Going to meetings is from my experience, our experience, is part of sort of what I would call the continuum of care. What do I mean by that? So a typical recovery journey when you work with us looks like this. We want somebody to do better to do 6 months of some type of combination of residential and partial hospitalization. In other words, they are living in the recovery facility, whichever one that may be, okay? After that, they have to work a continuum of care. And this is where the meetings come in. What does that look like? Well, we probably want them to go and to live into a recovery residence, also known as sober living. We want them in a structured, supportive, encouraging environment, but also one where there are consequences for not following the rules, right? You start sneaking drugs into your recovery residence, you'll probably get kicked out. So living in a recovery residence is important. Going to meetings, really, really important, right? Being, again, in a supportive, encouraging, loving environment, something that nurtures recovery as opposed to, says, oh, that's all BS, let's go use again, right? We don't want that. So we've got the recovery residence, we've got going to meetings, getting a sponsor. Now, a lot of the folks that we know that are in long-term recovery have now become sponsors. So that's important. Having somebody to support you who's there when you're having that moment, right? That you need someone to talk to. If you need to take medications, being med compliant, and continuing with some type of outpatient care. So we have typically seen the meetings, right? That part of the recovery journey is sort of the second half to the recovery process. And we tell families, you're probably looking at a year-long journey. And I know that sounds like a long time, but you've been dealing with this for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, whatever it happens to be. This is just a blip in the ocean, in the grand scheme of things. But it takes time. It really does. And anybody who tells you otherwise doesn't know what they're talking about. I'm sorry to say that. And every once in a while we get somebody who calls and says, oh, I just want to have them in treatment for 30 days. You got the wrong lawyer. I won't take that case. I won't take your money because I know what happens. Day 31, maybe day 32, they're relapsing. It's just the way it is. It's just not enough time. So that's where the meetings come in. And I'm not, I'm not discouraging anybody from going to a meeting just because they haven't got to treatment yet. I just wanted to sort of lay out what the recovery process typically looks like. Now, I've got a family member who is in a relationship with somebody who's in recovery, and he takes her to meetings. I love it. They share the recovery process together. She's not in recovery, but he is. But it's part of their relationship, and she goes with him. And I think that is amazing. And there's nothing better than having a supportive partner. So anyway, I'll put a link to the article in the description for the video. If you have any comments or questions, or you agree with me or you disagree with me, as long as we're all respectful, no problem. I'm happy to hear from you. I'd like to interact with you. I appreciate when you take the time to interact with me. If you're seeing this video and you have an issue in your family that I haven't made a video about yet, post. I'll make you a video, because if it's affecting your family, it's probably affecting somebody else's. And I want to make sure that you get the information that you need. And with that said, if you like this content, please give me a thumbs up. If you want more of this content, which I put out on a daily basis, please subscribe to the channel. And with that said, thank you. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.